The new book, King Brown Country, is a 5-year investigation into the mismanagement and neglect of the Central Australian community of Papunya. The book's a damning portrayal of inept governance of Indigenous communities. It also follows Papunya-raised MLA Alison Anderson's rise to power. I spoke to author Russell Skelton earlier this week. Russell Skelton, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Your book's called King Brown Country, The Betrayal of Papunya. You've identified Alison Anderson in the second chapter as being known as a King Brown. Are you saying that Alison Anderson's betrayed her people?
Well, I think there have been many betrayers to Papunya, and I wouldn't want to ascribe total blame to any one particular agency or individual. But there are many aspects of her administration out there as the community clerk that certainly left a lot to be desired, and there were some very strange practices that went on financially with the store accounts and with the council itself, which really need to be explained at some point.
Your book is a scathing appraisal of Alison Anderson, though, and at one point you say, for a woman who boasted that her life began on a creek bed, she's very thin-skinned. What point were you trying to make there?
Well, in that particular chapter, I was referring to the way she reacted to any sort of criticism of her, either by her political colleagues or in the media itself, and you know, the various tussles she had with the NT News and even your own organisation, the ABC. I thought it was, for a woman who was fairly audacious in the way she conducted herself and the way she was very aggressive in dealing with her political opponents, she seemed to retaliate rather swiftly and quickly when people criticised her.
You talk about the misuse of funds in the book. You make reference to motor car dreaming. Could you just talk us through what that means?
What was basically happening was that the community-owned store would jack up the prices, generate quite massive and substantial profits, and then rather than devote those profits to, say, community-based schemes or education scholarships or you know, providing proper assistance for the community in various other ways, a lot of that money, not all of it, a lot of it went to purchase motor cars for individuals. And you had to be on a sort of select list to be entitled to those motor cars. And over a period of time, hundreds of thousands of dollars was sort of basically raised by a de facto tax on food and vegetables and things that were sold at the store, and then reallocated to certain families within that community. And it was a practice which was not deemed necessarily to be illegal, but it was certainly, from a public policy point of view, it left much to be desired. So
did that serve to carry favour in the community for Alison Anderson?
Well, it carried favour, and there was one particular notorious incident where Alison Anderson had decided, as the clerk and the council decided this too, to take on the Northern Territory government in when they tried to introduce user-pays electricity. And if you look back into the store accounts and to the council accounts at that time, you'll see that a massive amount of money was raised around that time, and motor cars were allocated to people basically to keep them on side during that strike.
What's been Alison Anderson's response to this book?
Well, I've got no idea. For 4 years now, I've been trying to get her to talk to me about it. I'm the sort of journalist who believes that there are two sides to every story, and I was very, very keen to hear her side. I've written to her, I've emailed her, I've tried to phone her, without any success whatsoever. And I'm very disappointed that a person who spent her life basically on the public payroll doesn't in any way want to explain some of these rather curious and unusual happenings that went on in Papunya when she was there.
Is that what you've taken on yourself to do, to try and hold her accountable with this book?
Yes, well, I think, look, it's... I don't want to give the impression this book is all about Alison Anderson, because it certainly isn't. What I've done is take Papunya and used it as a metaphor for all that's gone wrong with Indigenous policy. And it would be silly to say that, you know, Papunya's problems are all to do with Alison Anderson. That would be nonsense. She left the council in the year 2000 to join ATSIC, and clearly there was a period of great turbulence and instability and financial shenanigans going on from 2000 onwards, which should be properly scrutinised, and which nobody could actually say she was involved in any of that, and she wasn't.
So who should be held accountable then?
Well, I think in the first instance, government, most definitely, state, federal, and even the council itself. You can talk about the local councillors not doing their job, but from the time the DAA withdrew, the Department of Aboriginal Affairs withdrew from Papunya back in the 70s, there's no attempt to really engage people about governance, to teach them about regulations, to teach them about elections even, and accountability. And you go back through these reports and you find endless, right up even in 2004, you find various auditors saying that there wasn't a quorum present, when a basic vote was taken, or the tendering system was not adhered to when buying goods and services for the council, by the council. And nobody seemed to care. I mean, this didn't seem to trouble anybody much.
Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. Russell Skelton, thank you for joining us.
Thanks very much for inviting me.
And as a postscript to that interview, Stateline approached Alison Anderson to respond to the questions raised in Russell Skelton's book, but she declined the offer.